Great. So this is how to model a lampshade in Fusion. What's rule number one, everybody?
Component.
Yeah. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create new component, and I'm going to name it because I like to be organized. I'm going to say lampshade. That capital H is going to bother me, but I'll get over it. We're going to be talking now about the sculpting environment. In the sculpting environment, everything is purple. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to click this purple button that's Create Form. And once I click Create Form, I'm kind of entering this whole other world of Fusion. Everything I do while I'm in this space isn't recorded as a single action like it is in the rest of Fusion. It's recorded combined in this purple folder. Because what we're doing now is so organic and fluid that there's no way you could abstract it to like sketches and extrusions and features. So it kind of puts you in a box and lets you do anything you want in the box. And once you click Finish Form, the thing you're working on becomes an object in Fusion, and then you can do extrudes and holes through it. But that'll make more sense in a second. A lot of the tools in this space are the same. You can create sketch. You can even extrude and revolve, but you notice that these extrudes and revolves are purple instead of blue. And that might just seem like a color choice, but what it actually means is that these are editable surfaces that are really powerful. Their technical name is T-Splines, and it's a type of NURBS geometry. And Autodesk actually acquired a company called T-Splines, where this was their only product. And they were doing very well for themselves because so many industries, from like automotive design to boat design, needed a way to make organic, high-resolution curves, and there was no other good solution in the market. This is kind of like the pen tool in Illustrator, but for 3D. And you can start with a lot of shapes. You can start with the box, just like in regular Fusion, except this isn't a regular box. This is a really squishy box. And if I click OK, I can go to Modify and, oh, where is it? There's a place where you can see the actual, what's driving it. Utilities, display mode. What's going on? Oh, I have it to the wrong mode. This is the control cage for this blob, for this lozenge. What is this, a marshmallow? No, marshmallows are round. You can move these points of this, and it will move the lozenge. You see, it's just like in Illustrator, how I can move the control points of this toilet handle, and even though the control point isn't actually living on the geometry, it affects the geometry. The geometry is attracted a little bit less normal. But in 3D, it's a lot more powerful because you can do all kinds of crazy stuff. So essentially what you do in this environment is you pick your base form. So for example, I started with the box. And you can pick the size of the box. But you can also pick how many faces it has. Like if I make this 5 by 5, you notice it's a little bit less squishy. It's got sharper corners. And it's got more spots for me to grab it. So, and you can add these points later. And in the case of wanting to make something that's like a face, or even most consumer products have symmetry, you can actually apply rules to the part. Like if I go Control Z, make another box. This time I'm going to make sure it has an even number of faces, just so it has a line down the middle. And I'm going to go to visible edges only, so it's clearer. You can put in symmetry rules. So there's internal symmetry, like the symmetry in a face or in a star, and there's duplicate symmetry, where if you want to make a second one of something, like 2 kidneys. In this case, I want mirror symmetry, and you can just pick 2 faces, and it will find the line that's in between those 2 faces, and then there'll be a new rule that says that anything that you change on one side of this line also gets changed on the other side of the line. You can do, and learning these tools is, like I seem to be saying so often, outside of the scope of this class. Every organic project's going to have different needs and different specifics about how to sculpt it. And there are a lot of tutorials of people on YouTube that are making similar things. I have in the playlist a great watering can tutorial. But what I've just been doing is I've been messing with the modify tool. So Control-Z, undo and redo work in this space, but you can't go into the timeline and change a specific thing. The modify tool lets you grab a face, or if you hold shift, multiple faces. It lets you grab an edge, or if you hold shift, multiple edges, or points, or multiple points. And then you can move, rotate, or move in a different way, or scale any of those things. And the behavior is a little bit different depending on which thing you're doing. Like a face doesn't exactly keep the face flat, but it grabs more, is less sharp than if you grab a point. Yeah, so this is a great way to make things that will interact with humans. Things like water bottles, or grips for tools, or beverage containers. And the nice thing is that let's say we might want to make a beverage container. Cancel. Control-Z is easy. I'm going to look up, what's your favorite beverage container?
40 ounce.
And I can do alcohol.
Orangina.
Orangina, thank you. Classic. Sparkling. I'm going to save this image. Is that really the highest? Yeah, it doesn't need to be crisp. Save image as, download Orangina. And then I'm going to do insert. What's a background canvas? Canvas. So I haven't seen that one before. I think it's the same, but you pick the image, downloads. Oh, I forgot, I deleted the text extension. Downloads, Orangina. Was it a JPEG? Let's hope it was a JPEG. Nope. Let's try that again. Images. Orangina. Save image as. This one's a JPEG. Great. So Orangina 2, I'm going to click Open. Then I'm going to click OK, and then I'm going to zoom in on it, find it in canvases, get real close. How tall is a bottle of Orangina? So I can calibrate it to that height. It's a lot more than 14 millimeters. I think it's about 120 millimeters. Anybody think it's bigger or smaller than this? Great, 120. To the people watching on the webcast, I just held my fingers up in the air. And now I can go and I'm still in the create form mode, but this time I actually want it to be close to start off with. Okay, well, I'm going to show you the fastest way to make the Orangina bottle, and I'm going to show you a harder way for the sake of education. I can make a new sketch on that plane, and I can make a line to the top, and then a line here. And then I'm just going to simplify this. This is going to be straight down. And then from there, I'm going to switch to the Spline Tool because it's swoopier. Check mark. There you go. So now we have the profile of the Orangina. And I can actually create a revolve, just like in the other environment. But this time, instead of getting a complete form, you get this that has all these things you can grab and pull. And you can change how many faces it has around it, and like along the height of the revolve. 3 is too few. It actually can't. It's not even round. It's kind of this weird triangular shape. Let's go with 5, or I don't know. Even numbers are nice sometimes. And now I can hide the canvas. And I can be like, oh, you know, Orangina is getting tired. It needs a bold new look. And I can start going crazy. So the modify tool is essentially the only tool. It's the tool you use the most often. It lets you change most of the things. These other things are more advanced, but they let you do things like adding edges, adding a bunch more edges at once. I think this adds up to 2 edges by making a point where they meet. This lets you like connect 2 things that are open, and this can be really powerful. This fills holes. Oh, that's crazy. Crease is good if you need to have like hard and soft lines. You can actually just say, I want this line to be sharp, and it will make the thing a little bit more edgy. This does the opposite. This lets you move edges without changing the geometry too much. This makes things that are rough into things that are smooth. This makes things that are smooth into things that are flat. I've never used pull. I haven't used most of these. I don't spend that much time in this environment because I'm mostly not designing this kind of thing, but it's super fun when I do. So if I go into modify, let's say I want this thing to be more plump, especially in the neck. I could click one of these edges in the modify tool, but if I double click it, I can actually select the whole loop, which is really useful. It'll just keep selecting until it hits like an intersection. And then I can scale the whole thing. And now it's just like, bam, Snapple bottle. Orangina bottle. Snapple bottle. 2-liter bottle. And this is one of those big bottles for water in the bubbler. And you can move the edge up and down. Now you can get like one of those mutes for a trombone when you don't want to play too loud. And the parachute. And if we wanted to get crazy, you're not limited in blow molding, which is the manufacturing process for bottles, to making things that are round. You know, we could get really weird. You know, we could start going out like this with like maybe even we could probably even figure out a way to add a handle. But before we get too crazy, we probably want some symmetry in this model. So I'm going to go to Symmetry, Mirror, Internal, and I'm going to just do one symmetry across these. And then I'm going to see about adding a handle. Might be too ambitious, but so I'm going to pull this out to create hole. No, so I'm going to subdivide I'm going to subdivide this one. Modify, subdivide. Okay. I'm going to delete that one. There we go. Now we got a hole. Then I think I can do modify bridge, I think. Side 2. That didn't do it. Oh, there's the problem. Whoa. Whoa. Huh? Now we got a really, really, really ugly bottle. But we can work on that. This is too sharp. Bring that in a little bit. This handle doesn't fit a human-sized hand. So we can grab modify, maybe, and its friends here, and we can move these down. Okay, now it fits a hand, but now the rest of it's ugly. So I'm going to select these faces that aren't smooth, and I'm going to see what happens if I click smooth. And drag it to 100. Wow, way better. Now it's kind of smooth. It's still ugly, but that's because I'm not a good designer. Bring this out a little bit. And now I can bring this out a little bit. Probably this out. What are we selling now?
Pride.
Pride?
Tide.
Tide. I was going to say Pride is, you can sell Pride for a lot. People really like conceptual, non. Oh, this is weird. There's like a space for water to collect inside the handle. Fix that a little bit. Maybe I can try that smooth command again. Modify, smooth. Too smooth, but can I take this and drag it down? Modify. Move this one. Anyway, let's pretend we're satisfied with this. I don't think this will topple over. It might if it's totally full. Yeah, it's going to. I think if it's totally full, there's going to be so much weight in the handle, it's going to fall right over. And that makes me uncomfortable. I don't want to get in trouble. So you can actually rotate vertices and move them. Let's see if I can take these 3. Can you smooth lines? That'd be cool. Smooth. No, just faces. No. Pull this out. Cool. So let's pretend we're happy with this. As soon as I click Finish Form, all the purple stuff goes away, and this is going to look a little bit different. You notice that it only kept some of the lines? If I want to go back and edit this, I totally can. You just right-click the purple, and you click Edit, and you can go back and change things. But from this point forward, this is just a body. I can't. If I want to edit it, I have to go back in time and edit it. I can't edit it later. The cool thing about this is I can do all the regular things to it. You know, I can be like, oh, this needs a hole, a regular hole. That's a little weird. What is that? Oh, I think it's because of where I clicked. It needs a hole here that's like this deep. Great, you could drill a hole in it. You can, to some extent, do things like fill it. Sometimes it's not as reliable because the geometry is more complicated. You see it has these like weird facets. We can shell it. So the shell command, which lives under modify shell, you tell it which thing you want to be removed, and it will make it hollow. So if I want to make this a 1 millimeter thick bottle, you know, shell commands can get really complicated for round geometry. So in this case, you can't shell it because with that thickness, but we can probably shell it with a different thickness. Maybe outside. There we go. So outside's easier than inside because I think the issue was with inside is that in the creases it was hitting itself. But now we have an actual bottle that holds liquid. You know, if I go to inspect section analysis, we can cut it in half and see like, oh wow, it's a great place to keep your laundry detergent. Or your Orangina. So the Sculpt environment's super powerful. And I promised you a lampshade, and this is a laundry bottle. Any like broad questions or any kind of question?
If you're going to add an orange texture to it, would that be fairly complicated? Or?
That's a great question. It's something I didn't actually start thinking about until a few months ago. I think that might be almost impossible in any solid base editor. I think that texturing is often added as a later step. Like you would take your file from Fusion, like your something that's not something better than an STL but not a Fusion file, something that everybody can work with, like a step file or an IGEST file, and I think you'd put it in software that's made for that. Mesh Mixer can do some texturing on meshes. The way it's usually done for injection molding is you just give them the flat file, and then on the drawing, you say the texture code. Like, oh, this is an SPI A2 brushed finish. So that way you don't need to model every ridge of your material, which would be really intricate and make your model really large. But you can just call it out in the drawing. I recently bought a lamp at a garage sale that has a really intricate, bubbly texture on the outside. And I was like, I'm going to model this in Fusion. And then I was just like, oh, texture. It's not for CAD. It's something you could do. People who know Maya could do it in like that environment, or Maya, or Cinema 4D, or Blender. But it's most of the time textures in those environments are actually done. They're fake. Like it looks like it's texture on your screen, but the actual model is smooth. But that is a great question. Great. Next. Cool. Are you excited about the purple mode? It's pretty fun. The one thing I want to warn you about the purple mode, I mean, there's lots of things, is every other part of Fusion. Oh, that's cool. It shows you the future as a ghost. The ghost, a bottle future. It's going to get thicker. In the rest of Fusion, it's pretty difficult to make the kind of mistake that would end up with things like this. Impossible geometry. Things where like surfaces intersect surfaces, or there's kinks or twists. And if you click OK and then finish form, it's going to give you an error. And it's going to be like, you don't want to do this. Because I can't put this in regular Fusion if it's impossible. So Control Z, Control Z, Control Z. And sometimes those things are invisible because they can be really small. Just going to add a crease here because I think it will make the bottle less comfortable, but make it sell for more. There you go. Look at that. Cool. I'm going to finish form. I did click it. My computer's running much slower because I'm running screen recording software. Da-da-da. Great, so here's the lampshade I made before. And I don't think it has to be the same as this one. This one's kind of weird. But I'm going to show you how to make this, or how I made this. I'm going to click New Design. What am I going to do first? Create new component. Lamp shade 3. I'm going to save the document now because this untitled thing on top makes me really nervous. 3D printing, lampshade 3. And now I'm going to just click new form right off the bat because you see I already have this activated, so the form and all the sketches and everything I do now will live in there. Create form. If I were really making a lampshade, like that was going to go on a lamp, I'd probably put a light bulb in here just so I'd have a reference, maybe like an image of a light bulb or a 3D light bulb from GrabCAD. You know, let's do that actually. Might as well. Oh wow, here's some I worked on earlier. Is there a light bulb in here? There's a light bulb in this one. Great, download all files. It's a little unfortunate just because it's a SolidWorks file. It means that we have to download a ton of files. Pennant lamp snapshot, open the zip. So for a SolidWorks file, you actually have to upload everything. Oh, cool. That's a language I don't speak. You have to upload it all. So I'm going to do new folder. I'm going to be like, other people's things, I just put in folders called OEM. Like, it's just a habit I have. To me, it stands for original equipment, like things that you can get off a shelf. It's just a habit. But I have to upload all of these except for the JPEGs. Because which one's the top level? This one, I think. Because SolidWorks files are a mess. I mean, it's just so many files. Every individual object in SolidWorks has to be its own file. And then you have another file that contains the relationships between those objects, which means if you don't have really good discipline for like how you use your hard drive, you can be in trouble really quick. But when you bring it into, oh great, an error report. Usually it just comes in as one file. You know, I just want the light bulb anyway, so I'm just going to upload the light bulb. Does anybody speak this? Any of these mean light bulb? Prostavka. Lampada. I'm going to assume it's lampada.
Yeah.
Oh, that's an assembly. Lamp holder. The lamp holder should be enough. I'm canceling. Anyway, let's just pretend we have a light bulb in here. I don't want to waste your time. So I'm just going to go into here. I'm going to make a new component quickly. Great, new component. Light bulb. And it's just going to be an Orangina can, I guess. But instead I'm just going to draw something really fast. Start at the point, maybe make one of these, maybe make one of these. How tall is a light bulb? About the same as an Orangina, a little smaller, 150. Nope. I am a light bulb. Finish form. Revolve. This is a regular revolve, the blue revolve. It's the only revolve that exists in this menu. Then the axis for this one. There you go. Let's pretend this is a light bulb. I mean, it looks like a light bulb. Great, lampshade. Now we have something to reference. Create form. I usually start, if I make something that's kind of round, I want to start with a revolve. Other people start with like a ball, and you can start with any of these shapes. The reason I want to start with the revolve is because it's less work and it makes more sense to me. But in people who like sculpt human faces on the computer, usually start from a sphere, which to me is absurd. Like they can download people's faces and start from there, but no, they're like, no, keep it pure. You don't want to have the face you downloaded impose a face on you. So they start from spheres. I'm going to start from a revolve because that makes sense for me for my light bulb concept. I'm just going to make a line the height of the lamp just so I have a guide. It's 1 meter, half a meter. Let's go 300? 300 millimeters? Really stretching my metric mind here. And then the spline tool, oh, I'm going to start with the line actually because I want it to have a, I'm going to start printing at the base, and I want the base to be, big enough to get, for everything. And then I'm going to just go wavy, wavy, wave. I keep pushing escape instead of enter because check mark. You can move these around until you're satisfied. It's really hard to make curves satisfying. They're often ugly. I'm going to make this one simpler. There we go. And then I could either finish the loop or I don't actually have to because I'm only going to be revolving this one edge. No, these two edges. Because I'm going to be working with just a surf. Is that true? I'm going to finish it because I can't remember how I did it last time. I'm going to finish it with a line between the point and the point. Then create, revolve. I'm going to click the profile, and then I'm going to click the axis, which is the center of the profile. Now it's starting to look a little bit like a lampshade. These numbers, you can change them with your keyboard, or you can change them with this awkward slider. 27 is a lot. I'm not going to do 27. I'm going to do 9. No, I'm going to do 11. I kind of liked it before, how it was pretty intricate. And for the other one, I'm going to do an odd number because I want it to not have symmetry in that. Like I don't want to have pizza symmetry. Like if you're cutting a pizza and you didn't cut all the way across because you have a lot of restraint because you knew there were going to be 9 people. This is a lamp for you. Then I'm going to click OK, and now we have this. And this could be the start of a great lampshade, but I want my lampshade to be symmetrical because we're making pretty much this lampshade. So I'm going to click Symmetry, Circular Internal. You see the difference, mirror is just one, but with circular you can do lots. And then you just pick 2 faces. And it was asking me whether I wanted to do 9-way symmetry or 3-way symmetry. I click this face, it's like, hey, do you want this one or this one? The difference is one of these gives me 9 symmetrical slices, the other one gives me 3. If I click 3, it gives me like a peace sign or a Mercedes symbol. But no, I want more than that. I'm going to do this one, 9. And then you just start going nuts. I can grab this and pull it out. I could even scale all these together by holding Shift and double clicking. And now I've got like this honey dipper kind of vibe. Like the thing you dip in honey in the commercials for honey and nowhere else. Pretty good start. I don't know, this isn't that ugly of a lamp. But I think I need more edges. So I'm going to click this edge. Insert edge. And you can move the edge you want to insert. And the numbers on the screen are the percentage. So it's like 50% of the way between this and the next edge. So I'm going to do 50.5. And now I have an extra edge on every face. And now I could grab this point, and this point, and this point, and this point. Then click Modify, or I could have done that in the other order. I can drag these in. Now I have like a can that's been crushed by the, I don't know, deep ocean or something. Or by the cutting words of a close friend. Drink some water. What's something I should be keeping in mind while I'm modeling this lamp? Yeah, the angles. You don't want this to happen to your lamps. And it's kind of hard to look at this and know what angle all those surfaces are. And unfortunately, Fusion doesn't have a tool for that. So you get to kind of got to think about it. The last thing I want to do to this lamp is I want to twist it. Can I twist the whole thing? No, I think I got to twist it incrementally. Yeah. Maybe if I do, what's soft modification? Oh yeah. Soft modification. Look at that. I can just twist it and twist it and twist it and twist it. It's a twisted lamp. Yeah, it is very ice cream-like. Yeah, there's a lot of things here. I would be lying to you outright if I told you I understood even half of these options. But yeah, let's pretend, okay, I'm just going to do one last thing. I'm going to modify this soft again because I want it to affect all the ones around it. So if you see the, control. So this little gizmo, these are move. The 3 arrows are move. Move up and down, move front to back, move side to side. The squares are combo moves. So if I click this square, it lets me move up and down and left to right at the same time. So these are great for saving time. So there's 6 kinds of move on the gizmo. If I click this one, I can move it that way. Look at the blue square, not the thing it's moving, because that's not moving in a way that makes sense to me either. I can move this anywhere on that plane. Control Z. If I move this one, it moves it anywhere on this plane. These are scales. So if I want to make this fatter in the middle, I can scale it out with this one. If I want to make it, oh, the symmetry's on, so that's why nothing was behaving the way I thought it would. So this does scale. This does scale in one direction. I don't know what the middle one does. Hold on, I'm going to get out of here just so I'm going to finish this lamp just because, and then I'm going to make a new body because the symmetry is making this hard to understand. I want this to be a little more swollen. So soft modification. Right, that's pretty good. This is the prettiest lamp yet. Thanks to the pressures of lecturing. So great. I'm going to go back to this one because this doesn't have as much complication. I'm going to go back into Edit, Form, Modify. There we go. So here's the gizmo. I'm going to do it on this side so it's a little clearer. Here's the gizmo. I'm going to zoom in on it for us. These are rotate. It's really confusing, but you can actually rotate points. I don't know what it does. It seems to wiggle it a little bit. And the rotates will snap to 90 degrees. Rotate's a lot more powerful on things like this. You know, that makes sense to me that you would want to rotate a line, but it doesn't make sense to me that you'd want to rotate a point. These are moves, so I can move this way and this way, that way and this way, up and down. Oh, this is the middle one is scale universal. There's scales in all directions at once. So this just makes it bigger, which is confusing for a line also. These other ones on the side, this one scales it diagonally, this one scales it just one direction. Well, and the scale ones are going to make more sense if I just make a new ball. Ball. There you go. I've got a nice little ball. I'm going to select the whole thing. I'm going to select, not with the paintbrush, with the window. Then I'm going to do modify. There we go. So scale. This one does it diagonally, so it does it across the X and the Y plane. So it makes it into a pancake or into like the spaceship from Arrival. This one makes it only bigger in one direction, so also like a pancake but in a different direction. The one in the middle makes it bigger and smaller in all directions. This one just moves it. This one also just moves it. This one also just moves it. These ones move it along that plane. So, for example, this one moves it that way and up. This one moves it like on the X and Y plane, on the flat plane. And this one moves it on that other plane. So on the back plane, the top plane, and the middle plane. And then we have the rotates. And I think that's everything on the gizmo. Does the gizmo make sense? It's got they cram a lot of UI into one thing with no tooltips. The guy Kevin who does the product design online tutorials has really good Sculpt tutorials. So let's say I'm happy with this. I don't know that I am. I mean, I'm kind of happy with it. As soon as I click Finish Form, it's going to look different. A lot more like ice cream. And then I can find the body. I can save as STL. And I can put that, oh, that looks great. Look at all those triangles. I'm going to click OK. I'm going to put this in Downloads under Ice Cream Lamp for inspection. Last 2 digits, millimeters. Save. And then mesh mixer. Import. It's a little too much like ice cream. Analysis. Overhangs. Oh no. So we expect the bottom to have a problem because it's the bottom. But these parts have a little bit of a problem. And if you scroll it, you can kind of see where the problem happens. So these are about 30 degrees. These might be fine. But if I twisted it, if I stretched it vertically, I could get rid of those completely. But the assignment says 35 degrees, so red isn't allowed. I made a mistake. I got to go back and make a small change. Could
you stretch it in here?
I could, but I might want to make other changes. If I want to stretch it in here, I would do that in Edit, Transform. I would uncheck, make sure uniform scaling isn't checked. And then on this gizmo, which has different rules, I would grab the box and pull it. It didn't need much, so now I'll go Accept. Analysis, overhangs. I pass. And it's a little bit less ice cream-like now. I think you can actually hollow things out in here, but I don't think there's really a good reason to. Yeah, that's clear. What's going on? Yeah. I'm going to stop the screencast now.